is essential in being a power hitter, just being a good hitter. Okay, fallacies. Baseball and softball swing. I mean, this is something, again, most of you probably know that these aren't true, but you know, baseball and softball swings are the same exact thing. I think with Right View Pro and so many things that are out there now, you see that. Yeah, the stances are different, so much of it is different, but at the end of the day, when you break down the simplicities of the swing and get it into, you know, your load, your contact, your, you know, your swing, it's exactly the same. Squish the bug. That was what I was told for the first like 15 years of my softball. Squish the bug, squish the bug, squish the bug. So hopefully that's something we're not talking about anymore. But we don't want to squish, we want to push. So just, again, when I talk about being a Sharpie on your players, it's the terms, you know? I don't think there's anything wrong with squishing a bug if you're stepping on it and pushing it. But when I think about it, you know, this is how we were taught. Squish it by just turning your back leg. Well, turning my back leg isn't going to allow me to get the force that I need to hit this ball. So making sure that you, when you're teaching, having them understand that to activate your backside, I talked about this with the outfield, it's driving, it's pushing, not turning, not squishing. So as I load my weight back to get this power that I've now loaded back onto my backside, to get this power into my swing, I can't let it sit back here. I've got to push and drive and lift that heel so that I now activate that power towards contact. So again, the terms you use, making sure, because they will take everything literal, you know? Everything you say, it's like, okay, I'm squishing a bug. Linear versus rotational argument that I think has been argued to the ground and pretty much understood. We do both. So the linear part of our swing, and getting your players to understand this. I think the more that you guys can get the players that you're teaching to really know why they're doing it, will allow them to be better hitters. Because otherwise it's just a lot of talk. I mean, as coaches, you gotta feel like you talk a lot, right? I know with my dad, it was like, I just maybe hear one word out of every 300 at one point, you know? So you've heard the same person so often. So take things and have them, ask them, why do you do this? So the linear part of your swing is that, like I just talked about, your weight is going to come back, and then it's going to come forward. Linear, back, forward. Now as I get into my contact, my weight's still transferring forward, but then, depending on where the pitch is pitched too, for me on an inside pitch, I'm going to rotate a lot more and drive. It's a combination. I'm pushing forward, but then I'm rotating to finish. And on an inside pitch, I want to get my hands out there. When I get my hands out there, there's going to be a rotational component at the end. Now for an outside pitch, I see a lot more linear. I'm more here, 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 and I really try to stay through the ball. The more I rotate, the more it pulls me off of the ball. So getting your hitters to understand, without going into words like linear and rotational, because then they'll just gloss over. But just getting them to understand, okay, like there's so many drills out there just to get them to understand weight shift. There was even when they're hitting on the tee, we'll go left foot, left, right, hit. Feel that movement back and then forward. The last thing we want them to do is feel this. Because this is the natural movement they're going to want to use to hit. Such a natural thing to want to just crank, yank, and crank. Because really you find a lot of success with it at a young age. I can yank and crank and hit an outside pitch and just crush it until all of a sudden that pitch starts moving. They start placing it to where an outside pitch is actually not over the middle outside part of the plate. Stay on top of the ball. This is a big one. I feel like that's softball. Stay on top of the ball. How much do we use that? How much have we heard that? And it wasn't until, gosh, like 5 or 6 years ago for me ball's coming up. That's the difference between baseball and softball. We get on top more. No, actually, we don't. We hit the ball to be successful in the same spot you hit a baseball. You want to get on plane. You want to be on plane and not be here. Because when I was told stay on top of the ball, what do I think from there? I think chop the ball. Try to really get on top and to be here. Versus, to be honest, this goes with the, I had it on there. Don't drop your shoulder. So, to be honest, I'm not saying drop it here, but to get on plane with the ball, you know what? Our hands are going to drop a little bit. I can't go from here to the ball and hit it on a line, or hit it the way I want to. And again, this is all on how you want to teach it. Just making sure that what the words you're using is that actually, yes, I want to make sure that my hands get into a slot position to where my barrel is on plane perfectly with this ball, and I drive through it. So just understanding the terms you're using and what you're trying to coach. Because I think a lot of times we transition from baseball to softball. It's like, get on that rise ball. Here, tomahawk everything. That's how I was taught for the longest time. I was really good at hitting ground balls. Which isn't a bad thing. I have it as a go-to if I need to move runners. But I wanted to be able to hit the ball in the middle. And even sometimes, middle to bottom. And get a good lift. That's more advanced, but if I hit a ball middle to even a little bit underneath it, that's when I'm getting some serious power. So just getting rid of the idea of just hitting on top. Okay. Outside pitch, get deep. This one is, I still agree with it, but I think we need to be a little more open to where we make contact with the outside pitch. We set up the outside pitch sometimes, even with our belly button, when we're hitting off the tee. We want to make contact right here. I started to learn that for me, to be successful, my power actually isn't here. I am so much more powerful here. That's a difference about 1.5 feet. And forever, I set up my outside pitch, and when I would visualize myself, I need to hit this pitch, it was, I have to hit it here. Well, I would. And I would hit, I could hit a line drive to the 5-6 hole. I could hit a nice, hard fly ball to left fielder. When I got to the point in my game where I didn't want to be the girl that could just power to right and right center, I want to hit some bombs this way. I realized I need to make contact with that outside pitch more out in front. So I think understanding where your hitter's strengths are, and there's a lot of hitters, this is their power. They can't hit out here. This is where they really hit the ball far. So knowing where the outside pitch and not always be stuck on contact points for every hitter. And at the end of the day, like I said this earlier, you can have all the knowledge in the world, okay? But you've got to get your players to trust, buy in, and be accountable. We know that. I mean, and that's hard. So dealing with parents, they're telling them it's not your fault. It's the umpires, it's the coaches, it's your teammates, it's the pitchers, it's everyone else's. So you can get hitters to understand the more that they can take accountability for their own success. They should want to know, why am I not hitting the outside pitch? What do I do well? What do I not do well? And being able to, in game, in practice, challenge them. Don't always be the first one to tell them what they're doing wrong. Ask them, what did you do with that pitch? You just hit 6 fly balls in a row in batting practice. What are you doing? It's amazing to me, even after 20 fly balls, that you'll still get a blank stare. I don't know. Because they haven't turned the brain on. They're so used to someone telling them all the time how to hit, what to do, that they don't know how to actually feel and see and know, this is what I'm doing wrong and this is how I should fix it. So getting them to be accountable and buy in, and for them to own the knowledge that you're giving them. This is with Twitter, Facebook, and my website if you guys want to reach out. Follow up, since an hour is never enough for me. I could be up here forever. I have 5 minutes. I promise more. I'm sorry. But for any questions you guys have.
Just give you a strike and then decide to play off.
It's a great question. Yes. The whole yes, yes, no mentality, which can be a problem with me, but yes, I approach everything like I want to hit this pitch. This is a good pitch for me to hit. And then I have to set myself a parameter to say no. If I see anything, usually it's high, like suckers are the big one. If I see anything test or above, no. Anything else, yes. So it's a very aggressive attitude instead of the opposite. No, 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 no. Okay, yeah, now.
For a 14-year-old power hitter, how do you get her to have the aggressive mentality to just knock it hard every time?
For a 14-year-old hitter to be able to just...
Yeah, and aggressive, how do you get the hitter to take that aggressive stance at the plate?
I think being able to work on that in practice and being able to really, how hard to challenge them. Challenge them in a place where they're comfortable. Where maybe not all their teammates are watching. Be like, really? Is that what I want to see you hit this ball harder. My dad used to hit a punching bag. And I used to have to hit the punching bag. How loud can I make it sound? In the beginning, it would be like, whoo! You'd be like, really? Really? That's all you got? I said, okay, well, I might as well maybe just go get like a little stick. Oh, and I get mad. And I would find that aggression. We all have it somewhere. So I think just challenging them in a place that they feel comfortable. Never do it in front of everybody. Be able to get them on a tee, whatever it is, and be like, really? How hard can you hit this? I want to see you crush this. And they'll find that place. I think one more, right here.
When you're talking about the little ones, switch the ball, a lot of times with 10-year-olds, they come all the way through in that back with stuff like the fist and stuff. How do you get past that without doing to switch the ball?
So you're saying like they come up like this?
The whole foot comes up off the ground.
Oh, so they're... So how do you get them to stay down?
Right, you're driving so far through.
So they're like here? Got it. I think getting them, there was one term that I used of like being able to follow them in their finish, so being able to start here, contact, and then finish. And not that I necessarily agree with this term all the time, but it's like they're wearing high heels. So getting them to look down at their foot, be like, okay, it's like you got a high heel on that. First you want the foot to stay in that position, but you want that heel off the ground. You just don't want it all the way here. So basically be like, when you're here and you're finished, have them look down at their foot, where is it? And being able to feel as if, girls know this, when you're on high heels, all you feel is the ball of your foot on the ground. It hurts so bad, that's why I never wear high heels. The whole idea is that, and if you're dealing with a 10-year-old, hopefully she doesn't know either, but the whole idea is that they feel that part of their foot. They have a high heel on, they're feeling that in contact with the ground, but at the same time, they've driven enough to where that heel is also off the ground, that it's not flat. So I don't have a specific term to keep them from doing this, but I think anytime you can freeze them and hold them at the end of the swing, nothing says truer than, okay, where are you at? Our back foot should be in contact with the ground. 1 minute, one question. One minute question. Yes, yeah, everyone's load is different. So, yeah, Lisa was just, Lisa Fernandez too. Lisa would just get down on your back leg. You still look at where they're at, they're going back. It's just down and back. It should always be some form of down and back. And for every hitter, it's different. But there needs to be, and I always challenge hitters to exaggerate. I'd rather you get too far back and adjust, because 9 out of 10 times when you're teaching the load, they think this is like huge. Just like anything. They're like, I'm really loaded. Look at all this load. And they think they're here. So really get them to get back. Sometimes even maybe get them in drills where they're here and then they step and then they swing. And every hitter is going to find their strength is either down, straight down, or for me, because I have long legs, I need it to be a little more back. Yeah. I'm going to Louisville Slugger booth right now. I have free posters, a lot of cool stuff. I'll be signing. So if you guys want to come out there, if you have more questions, or want anything else, thank you guys so much.